Well, the old man, Paul, is finally able to sit on his front porch and be the old man sitting on his front porch. I want to talk briefly about the Department of Homeland Security. I've entitled this, Daddy Took the T-Bird Away. I think it's kind of appropriate to use the old Beach Boys song, Fun, 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 because Kristi Noem had fun, 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 but then Daddy did take the T-Bird away. I don't believe, everybody says she was fired. I don't look at it as being fired. I think she was merely transferred because she is now in a new job, in a very new department that, to my mind, at this point of time, has nothing to do. I do assume that she will continue to travel as an envoy. She will be roaming around North America and South America, jet setting in her cowboy hat and with her $50,000 Rolex watch on, and doing whatever her job entails, which, as I understand it, there are no actual criteria yet for what her job entails. Taking her place is Markwayne Mullin. He's a senator. He was a career business owner. He owned a plumbing company. He is a rancher. I assume he owns a ranch. He was a former MMA professional fighter and a politician. He's been in the House of Representatives since from 2013 to 23, and in 23 he was then became a senator, which he holds to the present. Education-wise, he has an associate's degree in construction technology. He doesn't have a bachelor's degree. I find nothing wrong with that. I was a law professor in a community college, and I can guarantee that an associate's degree is a very laudable thing. I think young people who are not ready for college or do not have any desire to complete a full college education, and who take the route of getting an associate's degree, which is what Mr. Mullin has, should be applauded and not thought badly of because they don't have that college degree. However, in this particular instance, it's kind of unusual because almost always directors of Homeland Security have almost always had a college education. They've often had military or security leadership, which Mr. Mullin does not have, nor did Ms. Kristi Noem. They were often in federal law enforcement. Again, neither one of those people had that. Now, Kristi Noem was a governor, and that has not been unusual in that department. Congressional experience, sometimes they have had such experience. And for a business background, occasionally they have had a business background, as Senator Mullin does. Let's look at the Department of Homeland Security, though. What is it? What exactly is the Department of Homeland Security, DHS? It was created primarily to protect the United States from terrorism and coordinate national security inside the country after the attack on September 11th, 2001. Before that, the responsibility of domestic security was dozens of different federal agencies, intelligence, law enforcement agency, and they didn't really share information effectively. Investigations after 9/11 concluded that coordination is necessary to prevent further attacks and ensure that we have domestic security. Therefore, the department was created by the Homeland Security Act of 2002, which established DHS in 2003 during the administration of George Bush. The core missions originally were to prevent terrorist attacks inside the United States, to reduce the nation's vulnerability to terrorism, to respond to and recover from attacks or disasters, and to improve intelligence sharing among the federal, state, and local agencies. It brought together 22 existing agencies into one department, the largest federal reorganization since the Department of Defense in 1947. Included are FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency for disaster response, the United States Coast Guard for maritime security, the Secret Service for protection of leaders and financial crimes, the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, as we all know who've flown, for airport security, U.S. Customs and Border Protection for border security, and of course our favorite this time at this time is ICE, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, for immigration enforcement. It emphasized, the whole thing, Homeland Security, emphasized protecting the homeland itself rather than using military operations abroad, which is handled by the Department of Defense, or now the Department of War, or so it's called. It was originally a central coordinator for the domestic security. It ensured that we had intelligence related to border protection, for transportation and emergency response, all working together to prevent an attack such as 9/11. That was originally. However, in 2010, there was a major expansion. We ended up having a cybersecurity, which is, of course, to ensure that we have cyber security, internet security, that sort of thing, infrastructure security. That was created in 2018. It works to prevent the government private computer networks. It defends elections from cyber interference, and it also responds to major cyber attacks. It was not part of the original idea for DHS. Now, Border and Immigration Enforcement became one of their largest operational roles, as we all know. In fact, right now, ICE is it's probably the largest segment of DHS as employees go. There have been a lot of debates because it has suddenly become very, very political. And although it is supposed to manage various agencies have been hurt. FEMA, their major responsibilities are hurricane and flood response, wildlife assistance, disaster recovery, and coordination with the states. All of a sudden, FEMA doesn't have that kind of a role anymore, and it's been restructured after Hurricane Katrina, and it is basically, their funding has been taken away. They also are supposed to have, DHS is supposed to take charge of infrastructure protection. Our power grids, our pipelines, telecommunications, financial systems, transportation networks. All of these have grown after 2021 when there was a pipeline ransomware attack like the Colonial one. Of course, our president is hopped up on election securities and saying that we have to make sure that elections are secure. And so the department, part of the cybersecurity is to make sure of the voting machines and election networks and voter databases are correct. They also are supposed to have pandemic and public health support. So they kind of overlap there with the Department of Health and Human Services. Basically, they're supposed to prevent, since 2003, they're supposed to prevent terrorism, but it's been expanded to counterterrorism and domestic extremism. They were supposed to have aviation security. Now we have border enforcement and immigration involved. Emergency responses. Now we've got, and disaster management. They were supposed to have intelligence coordination, and we've expanded that to cybersecurity. And infrastructure protection has suddenly become election security and cyber defense. It employs 260,000 employees, comparable to the Department of Defense or Department of War, as the case may be, civilian workforce. It's huge, and it's become very, very controversial. Because it has combined 22 different agencies into one department, it's become a massive bureaucracy. And this has created huge and complicated bureaucratic problems and overlapping missions. It's no question that part of the problems we have, or part of the arguments, of course, it's supposed to prevent terrorism and has unfortunately started to raise civil liberties concerns, as we know, especially with ICE. There's no question that DHS has become, for want of a better word, like a fungus that has spread and continues to spread and continues to evolve and change. The only trouble is nobody really knows exactly where to go and what to do. There's an article in the today's Daytona Beach News Journal, which talks about, or which is an interview with a former DHS employee who's kind of just threw up his arms and said, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Where are we doing it? What has happened to the original idea behind DHS? Now it has become a monster, one that is relatively uncontrollable. And for this, we are putting a new director in who has absolutely no experience in this area. I have nothing against Mark Wayne Mullen. I don't know that much about him other than his background. I don't know the man personally, obviously, and he's probably an excellent senator, but I'm not sure that he's the man to fill the office of director of DHS. We need somebody in there like a former four-star general who is a director, like a former FBI director. We need somebody who truly knows Homeland Security and is able to administer this massive organization. With that, we'll wait and see what the Senate does as far as the confirmation goes. Thank you for listening.